took a very similar approach and was using his home workstation over a period of about 2 years to achieve a very similar result. So that's good, isn't it? Fuzzing.
Yes.
Yeah, Randy, do you know what fuzzing is?
Well, I think
it's not something you do. It's not something you.
There we go. We started the stream, so there was
not something you do to your pullover, by the way.
What's that?
Fuzzing or defuzzing.
Fuzzing, yes. We just started the stream. I don't know why it did not start on its own. That's a new one on me. Right. So you can start over.
So were you awake when the speakers were talking about fuzzing?
I think I drifted off.
Yeah, I think you probably did.
The problem with much of that is...
The problem with being slightly senior is
there is, once you've lived 7 decades, it is difficult to stay awake during the day. But also, let me just... well, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, that got missed, but it's recorded for the audio, James, so that's good. I wanted to mention that... Okay, you did not mention Homer. Alexander, no, did you?
No, I didn't. Well, Alexander is a veteran of Camellia World. He delivers brilliant talks every time. And for those of you who don't know Homer is it used to be called SIP capture, but these days it captures a lot more than just SIP. So you install it on your Camellia FreeSwitch Asterisk boxes. And what it does is collects packets, kind of PCAP files, but not in PCAP format. It encapsulates them in something called HEP, H-E-P, and streams them back to a central server where the traces then can be assembled in their entirety. So you can see what's happening right the way through your voice over IP system with one view. And it just keeps on getting better and better. Brilliant bit of kit.
It is. And he was followed by our good friend Ole Johansson,
who was our high point of Camellia World, because he talked about things that you can do with Camellia other than voice over IP. So what he's been doing is plugging in all kinds of IoT devices into his Camellia and controlling those. And he emphasized how a lot of the problems that we're seeing with IoT today have actually been solved quite some time ago by the Camellia crew. And so his suggestion was that we should all be using Camellia to do IoT stuff. And actually, it's a pretty good idea.
And can you remind me what MQTT is? Because that was part of his thing.
Yeah, MQTT is a lightweight protocol for controlling things, IoT things. It's very simple, very basic. But as Ole explained, that is possibly one of its strengths. A bit like Twitter for IoT, in that it's very, very lightweight, very fast, very simple. You can't do a huge amount with it compared with something like SIP, which has got so many extensions and things you can bolt on the side of it.
Well, MQTT is an event queue. It's distributed event queue, so you subscribe to receive streams of events.
Yeah, and there's a lot of it floating around in the IoT world.
Interesting. Anyway, he also was tying that to Janus, and we had...
Yeah, do we all know what Janus is? Go on, Andy, your turn.
Yeah.
Do I have to talk about Janus? Talk about WebRTC, something you know absolutely nothing about at all. Well, Janus is a WebRTC toolkit, effectively.
Yeah. Which is very lightweight, so it works really well on small, low-power devices like Raspberry Pis and things like that, and Tim Panton's robots.
Yeah, it's very flexible. It allows you to do lots of things that you would otherwise find quite awkward, including live streams in web pages and other such things, where the end devices are at the time unknown.
And isn't Janus the thing that they use to stream the IETF meetings or something?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Lorenzo, who's responsible for Janus, over the years has become, or put himself forward, and his team, to stream all of the IETF lectures. And they've got to a stage now where they fly off to wherever the meetings are taking place, and they have the capability to record, 14 concurrent streams with slides and audio and transcription, all at the same time, and stream them, which is pretty good, really.
Really interesting stuff. Then we were privileged to ingest and digest some delicious sandwiches, after which, very good lunch, after which we had our sponsor, Nir Semyonovich, who said, "SIP is dead, long live SIP." Right?
Yeah, Nir's got a new cloud
thing, be in his bonnet.
Cloudonics.
Yes, Cloudonics is a sponsor of the VUC.
VUC. There we are.
Right.
And in fact,
but Nir, James, wouldn't you agree? Nir is one, like Ule, Nir is a good presenter. He's really got that down. He's a very charismatic guy.
Yeah, he's full of energy, isn't he?
Yeah, I like his presentation. See, Ole and Nir both keep me awake, as do you and Tim and a few other people. Lorenzo, except that I missed his presentation because we had to leave. But there's a certain number of people, and then there's the really intricate inside baseball protocol-y developer, DevCom, that I'm sleeping through. So,
but there's also there's the marketing type, because the 2600 Hertz folks sent one of their marketing people, and while she did a very good job, for given her circumstance, it was plain that that it was a different waters for her.
Well, this was something new for her, and we, as you know, we are responsible for bringing her there in the first place. So,
yes, sadly, Miriam and her sidekick Irena actually failed to turn up to present their dangerous demo next day.
Oh,
I don't know what happened to them. Perhaps they just got a little bit nervous.
Well, I think they were shanghaied by somebody else.
Well, they were overawed by your presence, Randy, and so they had to withdraw.
So, speaking of after Nir, another gentleman, Alex Balashoff, came on. He's also always has interesting stuff to say. Doesn't he?
Dear old Alex,
yeah,
a man who is never lost for words.
Never at a loss of words. Then, after Alex, as if this wasn't enough, Mr. Simon Woodhead, another VUC sponsor, by the way, simwood.com. Simon is another real charismatic guy, and I do stay awake in his presentations as well.
He always presents new, relevant, and exciting material. And this time he focused on his infrastructure and described the components that Simwood use to deliver service, including a homegrown module which replaces Console, which they called Gaylord. And
Gaylord, right.
Gaylord. There was a certain amount of interest in Gaylord, particularly from the back row. I can't think why.
But also...
Was Mr. Kinch sat at the back row, on the back row?
He was indeed, yes.
Yeah, and I thought he might have been.
Anyway, moving on swiftly.
Well, actually, there was something I wanted to say. Oh, Simon, yes. In passing, terrific article about GDPR in the Simwood blog. So that would be blog.simwood.com. Not sure if it's the very latest article, but it was pointed out that there are two articles in that. And if you're interested in that, Simon's one of the most lucid evaluations of this kind of thing.
Yes, he is. And
there are a few.
There have been tons of articles on GDPR, but most of them are complete and utter rubbish. But Simon's article is very practical.
So I think that you just find that by going to blog.simwood.com. So that brings us to somebody who I don't know at all, Dynamic Well, wait a minute. Matthias Masquet,
Matthias?
dynamic SIP routing with console. Well, that's the console that
Yes,
that Simon is talking about?
Simon
Yes.
replaced with Gaylord.
Wasn't that the hotel where there was an Astrakhan one year, the Gaylord?
Yes.
It was.
It was,
yes.
definitely. All right, after that, there was a coffee break, and then our friend Matthew Fredrickson, Digium, right?
Good old Matt. I mean, he is as straight as they come, isn't he? I think you could describe him as a safe pair of hands, gently steering the asterisk switch. Because the other Matt Jordan, got promoted, was it a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Become CTO of Digium. And so as he moved up, Matt Fredrickson also moved up to kind of fill Matt Jordan's previous position. So he's effectively in charge of the Asterisk project.
He is a really nice guy, and I think he's been there almost 10, maybe 8 years
Yeah,
now.
I mean, Matt Fredrickson is a Digium Asterisk veteran. He's been there since the very start.
Because he was a little kid, and he came over with Mark Spencer. He was at our apartment in Paris. We had dinner, and I remember very clearly. And Matt, he was like 10 years old at that time.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not 10.
So
But
he's grown up, and he's done some really good stuff. So, for example, and to show that he's not afraid of leaping in and doing difficult things, he is the guy who's responsible for the SS7 stack
ooh.
in Asterisk. I mean, that is heavy stuff. And he also he wrote sort of ISDN channel stuff as well, didn't he? As part of that. Anyway,
and after Matt Fredrickson, another great friend that I haven't seen in years, and we know him from a lot of things. What was it? Oh God, Ascosia was when we first met him, and then Arranged Networks. Michael Idema, who's currently in Spain.
Indeed, yeah, and he produced a really quite penetrating, absorbing.
Watch out now, James.
Don't get us back onto sausages again, please. A really entertaining summary of the use of blockchain with particular focus on how it could be delivered as part of real-time communications infrastructure.
I was wondering if there was something on blockchain.
Of course there was.
Yeah.
There had to be, right? Michael did a pretty good presentation of it, though, and it was nice, and he explained why it would matter and what things that could be done.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't, Corrado, it wasn't the usual crap where now with blockchain, it's VoIP with it was good.
Yeah.
But he summarized all the stuff that was out there. I think that he probably raised more questions than he answered, but as a kind of a 101 in blockchain for real-time comms, he did a really excellent job.
I thought so.
So I would
great.
recommend that everybody watch that particular kind of primer for blockchain in real-time comms. It was really useful. Not that he answered any of the difficult questions. Things like, how do you put it all together in such a way that the poor normal users don't lose their keys? Because when you lose your keys with blockchain, you're dead in the water, as well I know.
Yes, as we all know, everybody's lost a wallet or two. After Michael was Miriam, and Michael Graves, our own Michael Graves, ici présent here today, mentioned that this was probably the first thing that she's done of this kind. She had just done two other things the 2 weeks before, traveling really tired. And
but she did a good job, and she's.
I thought she acquitted herself nicely.
Yeah, she's a very attractive lady as well, and
she's a nice person, and
and presents well.
Then, of course, there's Mr. Tim Panton came on and did his experimental audio apps using WebRTC and WebAudio. I knew about this.
A man who needs no introduction.
A man who needs no introduction.
You know what? I have really, really missed him.
Oh, yeah.
Whilst he's been away, being very, very boring. Tim, if you're listening to this, you've been a very, very boring boy. And
at any rate,
all boring and no play makes
Tim did crash and burn at the end with his camera, whatever that was, that nobody
Well, yeah, he was actually trying to demonstrate pipe, which is what he spent the last 2 years building.
did not work. Wait, I'm on the wrong day. Oh no, right day. Hey, after that was the VUC Visions Open Discussions panel with Jenny Posner.
And what was that about then?
Yes, Ole Johansson.
So basically, Randy found every female that he could find in the room and put them on a panel.
I found every female that I could get my hands on,
including Mrs. Resnick,
including
Dr. Resnick.
Dr. Resnick, if you please.
Yeah, and I thought that she was possibly the best one of the bunch.
Well, we've tried to be funny, and it was totally unplanned, and obviously it came off as totally unplanned, but it did begin with a happy birthday to Ole Johansson, so I think that acquitted us nicely just from the start.
Yeah, and don't be fooled by his senior looks. Apparently he's not old enough to have a bus pass yet. Even as
Ole? No, but I am, and I've had one for probably 20 years. Anyway.
Well, I'm jealous. I want one. Why should you have one? I want one too.
And you know what? That was the closing remarks. While I was off getting drunk someplace, somebody made closing remarks. And a cocktail party. The cocktail party broke up to some people going over to the Wire headquarters, and I guess a couple of people. Well, there was rain right at that moment, so we didn't go. The next day, I unfortunately was actually not there. So, James, if you got the list, you might mention some of the. Karsten came back.
Yeah, Karsten extended his workshop from.
There's a guy, James Bodie. 11:45, James Bodie, Dangerous Demos. That couldn't have been worth anything. No, what else was there?
That's a load of rubbish.
Tell us about the Dangerous Demos, James.
Well, to be perfectly honest, it wasn't the best one we've had in a while. So the first 3 demos all kind of failed, and I was getting a little bit worried. And we had a number of people run away rather than present, and that was annoying. But then once we got into the swing of it, we got some of our veterans involved, and everything became better again. So the high spots, the winners, who won? The best overall, and I have to say the audience vote, were won by a young gentleman from Detroit, from Motown, called, I forgot what his name is.
Mac Hendricks.
Mac Hendricks, of course, who is responsible for the where are we? DSIP router. Here we are, DSIP router, this one here project. And that's a web-based front end for Kamailio. So those of you who are in the know will know that Kamailio is pretty lean and mean and pretty basic, and you kind of have to do everything through the command line. But he decided that he would like to build a web-based interface to open up Kamailio to a much wider audience. In its current state, it's really kind of SIP VoIP only. It doesn't do all of the additional bells and whistles, so things like diameter and IoT things and SIP simple messaging and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't do all of that yet. But if you want to put together just a basic voice over IP business type system, it's kind of very adequate for that, and I'm sure that it'll get a lot better. And he decided that he wasn't going to give this presentation until we kind of pinned him down at the back of the hall, and he said, okay, I'll do it. And he came rushing up to the front and did a really very competent, very good demonstration of DSIP router, and clearly connected with lots of people, and consequently got the audience vote, which incidentally was run by none other than our very own Mr. Andy Smith.
And great fun it was, as usual, because running a voting system is easy. Getting the order of the people right is difficult, particularly when the person running the dangerous demos changes the order on the fly.
Just moaning and groaning. Anyway, we did manage to get a couple of votes in. Not quite as many votes as normal, even though that Messrs. Alex Kinch and Cesare
Siwak.
who are known for having a go at the voting system. They were present in the room and they were having a go. But bizarrely enough, Mr. Andy Smith's anti-hacking devices actually worked for once.
Which is strange because I didn't employ anything other than I usually do.
Yeah, and consequently, we had very few votes, and yeah, but we got a winner. So anyway, very quickly, the other winners, the crash and burn for the demo that goes most horribly wrong was won by none other than our very own Carsten Bockfirst, who managed to, he was demonstrating. He wanted to do a demonstration using an Android handset selected at random from the audience. So he got a member of the audience to give him an Android handset, which he was going to put a SIM in, and the idea was that he would then attach it to his own VoLTE system. But he failed at the first hurdle because his SIM getting out tool was too big. He couldn't get it in the little hole. So he wasted about 30 seconds trying to get the SIM card out of the target phone and gave up in the end. And the whole thing just kind of went downhill from there, really. But it was a good crash and burn. And who was the other prize winner, Andy? I'm looking at you.
There's one prize winner.
Oh, I know. It was Lorenzo.
Oh, yes, it was.
Lorenzo of Meteco and also of WebRTC, and we mentioned it earlier, and I've forgotten. I've been eating sweets again. I can't remember. What's it called? Lightweight WebRTC.
Janus.
Janus, yeah, Janus. Oh God. I hope Lorenzo's not watching this because he'll hate me forever. But he's a super guy, and we've had him on the VUC on a number of occasions, haven't we, Randy? Randy?
Yes, I'm looking at the fact that you have a Pixel 2 that you don't use, but it's got the wrong frequencies.
What?
I don't know.
Pixel 2 has all the frequencies you require.
It has
For the United States of America? So you don't use it? Give it to me. Send it to me before August.
No.
And then I'll send it back.
No, I do use it.
Oh, okay.
It's a brilliant phone, the Pixel 2.
All right, so we've gone through. We're having some different various problems here, so we're probably not going to extend this that long because we're just kind of improvising and going through the various stages of grief associated with having a cancellation. But we've
done pretty good so far. But before we disappear, there is one thing that we definitely need to mention.
Yes,
and that is, when shall we three meet again?
Dum, dum, dum.
Which has to be ComCon, surely.
Yeah, you have a photograph for this, don't you?
I have a photograph? Who has?
Well, somebody has a photograph. Three Musketeers.
I guess that would be the three being you, Corrado, and Andy.
And you. Corrado, are you coming down to ComCon?
Not booked. These 3 months, April, May, and June, are my most busy of the year, because up here the weather is good just in these 3 months. Whatever you can do outside and you need to do outside, you do that in these 3 months, and everything goes with it. Even if you have to do work inside, everything goes on commission on the same period. So this is my most busy.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you can't,
I will try to.
And
if you can't
£1,300 doesn't dissuade you at all, of course.
Well, it hasn't persuaded many people. There appear to be about 20 tickets left, I am told.
Well,
and they're going fast. And
good.
Incidentally, we have some discount codes somewhere for them. So if anybody wants a discounted ticket,
well, if it's discounted to 0, count me in.
well, am I allowed to Yes, I think I am. There are some community contribution tickets available. I think 4 of them. That
4. That would be good because then Ule and I can come and 2 other people.
Yes, indeed.
Because if it's only 1, I think he should go.
Because Randy is clearly bidding for one of the contributor tickets. And,
I'm bidding, but I don't see any feedback yet. So isn't it May 22nd? I believe it is the day that I have 2 teeth pulled. They'll let me.
Yeah. Well, so I think it'll be okay. We put the word in for you.
We'll see.
As long as you don't get to present, we'll be fine.
All right. Well,
sorry, Randy.
Did we mention that Ule Johansson is going to be with us next week, next Friday?
Yeah, that's going to be good, actually.
It will be good because Ule has a vision, and he's a really, really interesting guy. Ule, remind me, somebody, Andy or James Corrado, I don't know if you know this, but Ule wrote the early SIP stuff for Asterisk. What did he write for Asterisk?
Ooh.
You remember? He wrote like one of the earliest SIP drivers.
Wasn't he part of Chan SIP?
I believe he was.
Yeah.
And he also founded Astricon, let's not forget.
Did he? No,
Yes.
No.
In Europe. Astricon Europe he did.
Yeah.
I think if you look that up.
It was Steve Stockall who did Astricon.
I think if you look that up, you'll see that they were
He
both
was involved in it very early on, but Steve was the lead. Steve and one other guy here in the U.S.
Anyway, see you next week with Ule. I'm going to cut off the live. Apparently, we'll be able to see us going to black and white and having network problems. That's why I went to Jitsi this time. Next week with our guests. From now on, we'll probably be using Hangouts again because ironically, Hangouts are more stable than what we've seen here today. But they are making inroads, outroads,
Headway or inroads.
progress on Jitsi because you can now select events, and that was a nice thing. So I set an event, and we're broadcasting on it. The only problem is I didn't realize you had to go into YouTube and start the event, so we're probably missing the first significant part of James's contribution, but it was a dangerous demo.
Yeah, you're not missing much. But...
Dangerous demo. No, we did actually miss something, but it'll be on the audio. So goodbye, everybody. Talk to you next week. Stop live streaming, but we will be in the mature audiences only section.
Just before you switch us off, message to everyone: come to ComCon, and you can find out all about it at